The shadows on the speckled hospital floor stretched ahead of me, twisted beneath fluorescent lights, making the corridor feel even longer. My sneakers squeaked on the tiles as I stormed after my brother. The white walls were suffocating. The air buzzed with that sterile, impossible-to-ignore scent. Laughter and television noise leaked from closed doors. My mother's voice, halfway between a sob and a command, echoed behind me. "Andrea, basta, not in front of Papa. You'll upset him." But my brother spun, jaw tight, his eyes wild. He gestured with his phone, the movement clipped and impatient as if waving off a fly. "You're not helping anyone, Luca," he spat, keeping his voice low. "Mama's worried sick, Papa's in surgery, and you," he stabbed the air, "still sulking about Milan, still drawing, coding, whatever in your fantasy world. You could have studied something real, medicine, business. Like every normal person's." My fists balled inside the pounds of pressure behind my ribs. A nurse glanced at us disapprovingly as she wheeled a cart past, the mountain of sterile gauze still glimmering atop the blue plastic. "It's not a fantasy," I managed, though my voice sounded thin and childish even to myself. "Data art is." He threw up his hand. "Is what? Another scam? Do you have a contract? Do you have a salary? All you do is sit at your desk moving dots around. And now you're 30, sleeping in your old room waiting for some, what? Announcement from God, Mama needs help, Papa may not," he trailed off. I looked away, tracing the faded green line that snaked along the tiles, leading to the OR. Indignation pumped behind my eyes, threatening to spill out as tears, but I blinked hard and did not let them come. His words were knives, but also the same familiar stones, the same ones every family gathering launched, quiet, disapproving stares. The tense smiles as I tried to explain generative data sculptures, only to be asked, "But what does it sell for? Or do you have any gallery shows?" Or my mother's favorite, "Maybe you could teach Luca." No. 5 hours later, when the surgeon came out, everyone focused entirely on Mama's hand in Papa's, the slow, waking flutter of his eyes. For a little while the tension softened, and my failings retreated into the blur of worry and gratitude. But at home, the silence was no gentler. My brother packed to return to Naples. "Lawyers can't take a day off," he explained with a superior smile. My mother hovered, making soup, avoiding my gaze. When Papa finally hobbled into the sunlit kitchen, changed forever by the heart he'd nearly lost, I realized how shrunken his shoulders had become. He asked about my pictures with a tired resignation, as if indulging the delusion cost him physical effort. No one said the word career. No one asked if I could help with bills. I heard the click of every door that closed between us. That week stretched into 3 months, each day passing in a fog. I stared at my laptop at night, clicking through lines of code behind a locked door. I told myself failure was temporary, insisted the next commission or grant would come. Rome lit up outside my window in warm gold, oblivious to the faded dreams inside our modest apartment. In the evenings, I wandered the Trastevere alleys, hands in my pockets, feeling the sickly mix of jealousy and longing, watching others who seemed so certain of their place in the world. Once my cousin Enzo found me at the Campo de Fiori market, set up with his tray of ceramics. He grinned, all swagger. "Non abbiamo più giocattoli, Luca," he teased. "Art is for children. Want to help me print a price tag?" I forced a laugh. "You know, I build with data, computer data. Like, seen the city's new installations? No, those shifting displays on the metro screens, the ones that turn pollution reports into colored patterns." He winked. "Sure, but did your name flash up on them?" My stomach twisted, but I knew I had no answer. That was my nadir, loss everywhere, my father diminished and listless, my family, their disappointment thick as paste in every room. The city itself felt like it belonged to everyone but me. One night, as rain drummed the window, I opened an old email from a festival I'd applied to years before, Ars Electronica, Vienna. I told myself reading it was to punish myself further. I'd been rejected in the most generic way by people who barely spelled my name right. That pain settled beneath my ribs, a familiar ache. But as I stared, my phone buzzed. A new message flashed up, a webinar link from a man named Marcus, a curator I'd met once at a hackathon during my brief, shining months in Berlin. Subject: possible collaboration, Rome Data Memories public installation. 5 words, the smallest splintering seed of hope. The project was insane, impossible, I thought. They wanted someone local to create a responsive sculpture, a real physical presence, but built with live data, reflecting the emotional atmosphere of the city in real time. I was offered a stipend, tiny but real money. I'd work with an architect and a handful of Vienna-based composers. The rules, open source everything. The result, an unpredictable, chaotic creature that would either flop or stun. I didn't tell my family at first. I told myself it was to spare them disappointment. The bruises from their scorn ran too deep. Quietly, I scrounged parts, worked late while Papa and Mama watched quiz shows in the next room. My code flickered on the screen, shapeless and jagged at first. I begged cafes and local hackerspaces for equipment. Some nights my hands shook with hunger and stress, so I poured cheap espresso until dawn. The weeks bled together, steps back, then frantic jumps forward. I spent hours on the roof mapping the city's pulse in my mind, Piazza Navona glowing at dusk, crowds swarming Termini, lovers arguing by Ponte Sisto. My piece would collect bits of all this, a million conversations and footsteps, the city's heartbeat made visible and melodic. My co-collaborators Skyped in from chilly flats in Vienna, their faces bouncing in and out with poor signal. Sometimes we argued, sometimes we stared at the screen in heavy silence, the failures mounting. I lashed the project together from wire and code. The day I finally watched a prototype bloom, my city's sounds flickering in spools of color, I nearly cried. Still, I did not tell my family. They noticed my absences, my exhaustion, but assumed nothing good. Papa's stares grew sharper. At last we finished. The commission arranged a launch event, small, only a few dozen industry people, press and artists. The final sculpture, a hybrid of light and steel, would rise near Piazza del Popolo for 2 weeks, a pulsing, color-shifting beacon, drawing its hues and sounds from people's tweets, traffic sensors, and Rome's open city data. The team titled it Risonanza. I sent the link for the opening to my family, feeling ridiculous. No one responded. I almost didn't go. Fear had been a shadow pressing on my back for months, but that morning it was nearly a physical force. I could see it in the mirror, pale skin, dark circles, eyes flat with worry. My hands grew clammy as I pulled on a faded jacket. Rome's April air was soft, the river below hazy with mist, but as I rounded the Via del Corso to the square, my stomach flipped. There, blocking the view, pulsed the creature I'd built. 3 meters high, iridescent filaments trembling in the wind. Its core glowed, colors shifting with each passing blink of data. Flutes and city sounds, chirps, shouts, car horns, wove together, rising and falling in waves. Children clustered nearby, open-mouthed, camera phones flashed. I stood to the side as organizers handed out press packets. A few people pointed was that the artist, but I kept my hood up. I watched as old couples paused, as a group of teens laughed and tried to text Rome is alive, to see if the sculpture would pulse back. Then I heard it, a voice from behind, sharp and incredulous. Is that our Luca? I froze. My mother's arm slipped around me, tentative then tighter. Behind her my brother stood, hands in his suit pockets, frowning as if unable to process the sight. Papa hovered, leaning heavily on his cane, his eyes darting from the sculpture to me and back. My mother's voice was high. It's beautiful. Is this what you have done all this time? My brother blinked, his tone softening for just a moment. Did you build that, really? I nodded, voice choking. Yes, it's all live, it listens to the city. To us, see there. I pointed to the little screen beside the sculpture, displaying live data streams, Roman traffic, environmental levels, the millions of words shared online each day. Every spike, every crowd, every burst of laughter or anger became color and sound. It's the city's spirit made real. A few people from Vienna came to hug me. A journalist asked me to speak, microphone trembling. My family watched as one by one strangers came to thank me. Someone called it Rome's new heart. My father looked at me for a long time, as if seeing something foreign and familiar overlapping at once. At last he took a hesitant step closer, put a hand on my shoulder. I do not understand it, Luca, but I hear you, I see it. You made something from all of us for all of us. His eyes glistened in the light. This is not a game. For a moment, the years of rejection hung between us, my failures, my bruised pride, their worry for futures imagined and lost. But beneath it, the world pulsed with new possibility. My mother wiped away tears. My brother, awkward, took a photo. I offered to walk them through the piece, explain the layers, live sensors, synthetic melodies, old Roman mosaics reimagined in color. My father listened quietly, finally nodding. Bravo, figlio mio, he said, and in that moment the wound between us, loss and bitterness, shifted just slightly to something like hope. After the show's 2 weeks, the city requested the piece remain. I was invited to collaborate further, join a team mapping Rome's entire digital presence into the public square. But even as those doors creaked open, emails, projects, praise, I felt something delicate whisper underneath. Fame, or whatever shape success truly takes, was not intoxicating, just relieving. I found myself spending more time at home. I sat beside Papa, who still shuffled chess pieces between naps. We spoke more, even if only to disagree gently, to share news, to argue over which street was truly Rome's heart. My mother leaned on me more in daily chores. I printed my first real paycheck and placed it on the kitchen table. Nobody suggested teaching or business or a fallback. One evening, Enzo stopped by, this time to hand me a coffee. He said nothing, but nodded with a kind of respect I'd never received before. Sometimes I rode the bus to Piazza del Popolo and watched children run under my sculpture, laughing. Teens used it as a meeting point, lovers traced the glowing surface. The colors waxed and waned with the tide of the city's data. I glimpsed my father there once, proud and quiet, talking with some old friends about Luca the artist, not with embarrassment but with pride. Rome rose and fell with its familiar chaos, lit by the evening sun, alive and complicated. I fit there now not merely as a dreamer, but as someone who'd spun those dreams from loss, anger, and hope into something real. Home. Rejection had shaped me, but return rebuilt me, more honest, more patient. I knew now that silence could heal, that forgiveness might grow, slow as the Roman spring. And whenever I heard the city's pulse rising at dusk, its laughter and struggle alive above the traffic, I remembered, every dream once mocked can return as light.